On these multi-step problems, some of the steps might require us kind of cleaning up a little bit on each side of the equal sign before we get started. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Like if you look at this first equation here, you'll notice that we have 2 minus the quantity negative 3a minus 8. Well, that's like saying 2 minus 1 times negative 3a minus 8. So in other words, what I have to do here is I have to distribute this negative through the parentheses. Now if you distribute it, you take a negative times a negative, and that'll make that a plus 3a. And then if you take a negative times a negative 8, you get a plus 8. Okay, now the other thing I want to do before I try to use any of my properties is I want to make sure I've combined any like terms on each side of the equal sign. Okay, now I don't have to worry about the right side because all I have over there is 1. But if you'll notice here, I have a 2 here and an 8 here. So let's add those together. And so 2 plus 8 is 10. So that gives me 10 plus 3a equals 1. Now I haven't applied any properties yet. I'll do that in the next step. So in the next step, I want to get rid of this 10. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. And then if I subtract 10 from the left, that'll just cancel the plus 10. And then on the right side, 1 minus 10 would give me negative 9. So on the left, I just have the 3a, and on the right, I have minus 9. So now that I've got the 3a by itself, I can divide both sides by 3, and I'll get a equals negative 3. Now since I've already covered basically from here down, okay, I won't spend as much time focusing on the 1 or 2 steps that I have to do to solve it since I've already covered that. I'll just focus on how to get it in the form so that you can apply those 1 or 2 steps that you need to apply. Okay, so this one, I have negative 55 on the left, and on the right I have 8 plus 7 times k minus 5. Well, what I want to do first here is distribute the 7 through. So I know that 7 times k is going to give me 7k, and 7 times negative 5 is going to give me minus 35. And then I can combine, I have 8 minus 35, and so 8 minus 35 is minus 27. So I have a 7k minus 27. Okay, now I've got it into the form here where I can actually, once I get it into this form here, I can actually just apply the 2 steps. So the first step would be to add the 27 to the right hand side, and that way it'll cancel the minus 27. So add 27 to the right side to cancel the minus 27, and then you have to add 27 to the left because we added 27 to the right. So if I add 27 to the left, I get negative 55 plus 27. Well, that would be negative 28. So I have negative 28 on the left, and I have 7k on the right. Now, it shouldn't bother you, don't let it bother you that my variable's on the right side of the equal sign. It's okay to leave it there until the end. I usually don't turn it around till the end when that happens. So now, since I have 7 times k, I'm going to divide both sides by 7. So that way, 7 divided by 7 will just give me 1. So I'll just have k on the right-hand side. And then since I divided by 7 on the right, I'm going to divide by 7 on the left. Negative 28 divided by 7, that's going to equal negative 4. So I'm going to have negative 4 on the left, k on the right. So instead of saying negative 4 equals k, I'm going to go ahead and just say k equals negative 4, which is the same thing. All right, now this is the first time that you've actually seen the variable on both sides of the equal sign. So this is a little bit trickier. But you see here I have negative 16n over here, and over here I have minus 7n. Okay, so what I want to do, and let me also share that I have a number on the left, 12, and I have a number on the right, 39. So here's what I'm going to do. You need to think of your long-term plan here. My long-term plan here is to get all of the variable terms to the left and all of the numbers, just plain numbers, to the right. Okay, so let's just talk about the numbers. So I need to, if I'm going to get my numbers to the right, I need to get rid of this 12. So what I can do to get rid of this 12 is I can actually subtract 12 from both sides. So I'm going to subtract 12 from the left side, and I'm going to subtract 12 from the right side. Now what that does is that cancels the 12s over here, and then I know that 39 minus 12 is 27. So the right hand side is just going to be 27 minus 7n, and the left hand side, since the 12 and the minus 12 canceled, I just get minus 16n. Okay, now so that got me the number on the right. Now I want to get the variables all to the left side of the equal sign. So what I'm going to do is, since I don't want this negative 7 in my way over here, so I want to get rid of that negative 7n. So what I'm going to add to that is a plus 7n, and then that way the negative 7n and the plus 7n cancels, and then since I added it to the right side, I also must add it to the left side. So I take the negative 16n and I add a 7n to it, and I get negative 16n plus 7n is negative 9n. So on the left I get negative 9n, on the right I get 27, and then you can just divide both sides by negative 9 and get n equals 27 divided by negative 9, which is negative 3. So I get n equals negative 3. Now, with practice, you can actually do these two steps, this step and this step, at the same time, but it might be a little confusing to get all your numbers to one side and all your variables to the other side at the same time. So I'm going to just keep doing this as separate steps in this section. Okay, now here I have negative 8 times negative 8r minus 2 equals 3r plus 16. So here I'm going to go back to simplify the left. So negative 8 times 8r is negative 64r, and then negative 8 times negative 2 is plus 16. And then on the right, I just bring down the 3r plus 16. So here I have the same situation. I've got a variable term on the left, this negative 64r, and I've got a variable term on the right, and I've also got a number on the left, and I've got a number on the right. So here's what I'm going to do. First I'm going to get rid of the number. So I'm going to take the left side, and I'm going to subtract 16. That way the 16 and the minus 16 would cancel. And then I'm going to take the right side and subtract 16. Now what's interesting here is the 16 and minus 16 also cancel over here. So all that's going to leave me with on the right side is 3r, and on the left side I have negative 64r. Okay, now don't worry about that. I'll show you how to deal with that in a minute. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to get all my r's to the left. So what I'm going to do is I want to get rid of this 3r that's on the right, so I'm going to subtract 3r from both sides. So I'll take this 3r and subtract a 3r, and then over here I'll take the negative 64r and subtract a 3r. Well, negative 64r minus 3r is negative 67r, and then of course 3r minus 3r is 0, so that's just going to leave me 0 on the right because I don't have any numbers or anything, so I just get 0 on the right. Now, so what I have to do now is to get rid of the negative 67 that's multiplied by r, I have to divide both sides by negative 67. So if I divide negative 67r by negative 67, of course the negative 67 divided by negative 67 is just 1, so I just get 1r. And then of course 0 divided by negative 67, if you divide 0 by any number, you always get 0. So that would be 0. Now, remember, you can divide 0 by a number and it'll be 0. But if you had that flipped over, remember you can't divide a number by 0. So 0 divided by negative 67 is fine. Okay, a couple more here. Here I have negative 57 equals negative the quantity minus p plus 1 equals 2 times 6 plus 8p. So the first thing I need to do is clean up this right-hand side as best I can. So if I distribute the negative through here, that's going to make that a plus p, and it's going to make the 1 a minus 1. Then over here I'm going to distribute the 2. So I get 2 times 6 is 12, and 2 times 8p is 16p. Now, let's look for like terms over here. I have a p over here and a 16p, so if I add those together, p plus 16p is 17p. And then I have a minus 1 plus 12, which is 11. So I get 17p plus 11. Now I'm going to just leave the p on the right. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of this 11. So on the right hand side I'm going to subtract 11 so that the 11 minus 11 cancels. And if I do it on the right hand side, I also must do it on the left hand side. So I have negative 57 minus 11 gives me negative 68. So now I have negative 68 equals 17p. Now my p is over here, so I look for the number that's multiplied by p, 17, and I want to divide 17p by 17 so that I can isolate the p, and remember that'll just give me 1p. And if I divide this side by 17, I must also divide this side by 17. So negative 68 divided by 17 is actually negative 4. So I have negative 4 equals p, or if we turn that around, we get p equals negative 4. And there's your answer. Okay, I got one more, and on this one something interesting is going to happen. Here, let's clean up both sides first. So over here I can distribute the negative 6, and so I have negative 6 times 8, and that's going to give me negative 48k. Actually, negative 6 times 8k is negative 48k. And then I have negative 6 times 4, that's going to be negative 24. And then here I have negative 8 times 6k, which is negative 48k. And I also have negative 8 times 3, which is negative 24. And then I've got this minus 2 tagging along. So let me go ahead and just do another step here. If you take minus 24 and subtract 2, you get minus 26. So didn't do much in this step other than just combine the minus 24 minus 2. Now, here's another one where I have the k on the right and the k on the left, and a number on the right and on the left and a number on the right. So what I'm going to do is let's get all the numbers to the right. So I have a minus 24, so let me add 24 to both sides. So I'll add 24 to this, that way it'll cancel the minus 24. And then I'll add 24 to this side. And of course, minus 26 plus 24 is just going to be minus 2. So I have on the left just the negative 48k, and on the right I have negative 48k minus 2. Now I want to get the k's all on the left. So what I need to do is I need to add 48k to both sides. Okay, now if I add 48k to both sides, here's what's going to happen. Something weird's going to happen here. When you add 48k to both sides, on this side you're just going to get 0. So everything cancels. And then over here you're going to add the negative 48 plus 48k. Negative 48k plus 48k is going to be 0 minus 2. So on the right hand side you're going to get negative 2. Well, 0 equals negative 2 is not a conditional equation. It's actually an impossible equation. So there's no way that 0 can equal negative 2. So basically what I gave you here is an equation that has no solution. Okay? Now I didn't do one that has infinitely many solutions, but let me just tell you, if you're ever solving one of these equations and you get a statement here without the variable that just is a true statement, like 0 equals 0 or 3 equals 3, then in that case you have infinitely many solutions, because in other words, it's an identity and it's true for any real number. Okay? So anyway, that finishes up solving these multi-step linear equations, and in the next section I'm going to show you some examples with fractions.